Hello and welcome to SumTotal and the University of California's Building an Integrated Talent Management Strategy session today. Thank you for your time. We're excited to be here and talk about our project. My name is Morne Swart, and I'm the Vice President of Product Strategy and Business Transformation at SumTotal. My role entails speaking to our customers, traveling around the world, making sure we get a good understanding of the transformation that our organizations are going through in terms of pursuing success for their talent management, learning management strategies around the world. I'm extremely happy today to be presenting with Terry Barton from the University of California. As vendors, we could stand here for hours sharing our stories of how great and beautiful our technologies are, but it's really only when our customers can speak to that value that the true capabilities of the product shines through. And at SumTotal, our objective is to deliver beautiful technology and engaging content that drive organizational performance. And it aligns really well with the University of California's project that was aligned to a very simple theory to get the organizational objectives defined and to align their people's strategy to execute at the highest level of performance to meet the business objectives. Today we are faced with many challenges, as you could see, in the workplace. And it's a changing workplace. And we're surrounding with all these challenges all the time. Whether it's building a development culture, building a culture of learning, engaging our employees, attracting talent, retaining talent. There's a lot of concern out there that we can meet and overcome these challenges within the industry. And if we look at some of the other criteria that we need to measure ourselves against and overcome, HR is often tasked to solve these problems. But we have overwhelmed employees that we are tasking to execute on some of these challenges. And we've got different tools that we are faced with in terms of finding a solution to these problems. And the tools of yesterday certainly don't solve these problems of today. And the expectations of the current workforce is also different, creating additional concern to the already overwhelmed employees, HR departments, and the buyer chaos that is out there today. So I am pleased to introduce a new strategy and vision that we have at SumTotal for solving the challenges in the workplace. And that vision is to simplify the process around solving for these challenges and creating an environment where employees can engage, where managers and leaders can get meaningful insight, and the organization itself can adapt to the change needed to accelerate the pace of performance improvement within the organization. And through that process, we create an environment where we can empower employees to drive their own development. So we've got launched a vision called the Self-Developing Organization, which is really to deliver an experience that radically simplifies that process of engagement, development, and delivering meaningful insight and a self-directed path for growth within every role in the organization. And today I'm going to just quickly talk about three of the design principles that we've implemented as part of this vision within our technology and innovation. The first one is individualized development. We truly believe that we need to start focusing more holistically on the development experience of individuals within the organization. Ultimately, if we peel down and peel back the layers within the organization, it's the individuals that drive the performance throughout the organization in all these different roles. And it's important for us to focus on that individual experience, knowing the person, getting them engaged in using the software, actually improving them, not just tracking and recording what they're doing. And we've seen that a key criteria and factor for individuals to stay with organizations is the opportunity for development. 71% of employees out there said, if I see that opportunity for development, I'll probably stay with the organization. Continuous learning is another important criteria for us in a space where we have basically 24 minutes to support personal development, not professional development, personal development. We don't have a lot of time out there to find things that matter to us. So as part of this individual experience, we've created an environment where we can serve up content to individuals in a beautiful and engaging manner that can support their growth at a rapid pace, from a knowledge acceleration point of view. And lastly, from a career development point of view, we have seen some statistics that is really incredible in terms of thinking that if the millennial population on average stay with an organization, about 91% of them stay with the organization for less than 3 years. Yet 78% of them said that they'll stay with the organization if they see a career path. So those were some of the key drivers behind our thinking in delivering a strategic integrated talent management suite. So with that, I'm going to be handing it off to Terry, who's going to share their journey of transformation at the University of California.
Hello, and thank you for being here. As Mornay said, I'm going to talk about our journey at the University of California with really implementing an integrated talent management process and then using our learning management system to be able to do that. So first, let me tell you a little bit about the University of California. We are the second largest employer in the state of California, behind the state of California. We have 200,000 employees and staff, I should say. That includes faculty and staff members, and 18 locations across the state. Now, if you look at the slide, that doesn't add up to 18, but we have 10 campuses, 5 medical centers, national laboratory. We have an agriculture and natural resources division, and then we also have our Office of the President, which also counts as a location. There's actually 11 campuses across the state. So we're very large and very complex, and it gets large and complex very fast. And so when we embarked upon integrated talent management, what we're really focusing on here are the staff employees, of which there's about 150,000. We don't really focus on the students at this time, although the need for some student training offered through our LMS is growing. And we don't really focus on the faculty so much from a system-wide perspective, although individual locations across our system do include them periodically. So why did we go about this? I mean, as Mornay mentioned, there's a lot of challenges that companies are facing out there, and the university faces the same challenges. When you think about the staff, we are really running the business of the university. So we have the same challenges. We also have about 30%, more than 30% of our workforce that will be retiring in the next 5 to 10 years. So we need to respond. We need to have a way to develop people. We need to have a way for people to be ready when those jobs are open. So one of the things that we wanted to do was implement a system that would be able to do that. In context, we are highly decentralized. If you looked us up on Wikipedia and tried, Googled what does decentralized mean, the picture of the University of California will show up. Even on a campus, they're not centralized in some cases. So we really had to build something that would meet the needs of all of our locations. We have everything in the business life cycle from a startup to a highly established university. Like UC Berkeley is on the more mature end, and then we've got startups like UC Merced. Each one of those locations operates independently, so they are their own entity. From a system-wide perspective, we partner with them, we guide them, we're kind of the coach on the side, but unless it's something that's compliance related, we're not dictating. So it's really a big win, if you will, for us to have a system-wide system like our learning management system that is the only system-wide system in UC that everyone uses. And then one of the things, as I mentioned, that we do is we provide links, we offer services, and we provide support to each of the locations. So when I talk about integrated talent management, what I really mean is that we're looking at the entire life cycle of an employee. So everything from when they're hired until their development, and even after when they've been retired. And our integrated system here really supports our strategy, and it's driven off of employee engagement data to make sure that we are offering our staff members the kinds of training that they're looking for. So when we embarked upon this journey, we had to think about, what are we trying to do here? How do we go about this? And it's a very complex situation. So the first thing we said was, what are we trying to solve? Right? What is the issue that we're trying to solve? And from a learning management standpoint, I think it was really around compliance. We had multiple systems in some cases, and we needed something across the university that we could use for reporting purposes. And from there it grew. We had to look at who are our partners. As I mentioned, we collaborate heavily with each one of the locations. One of the programs that came out of this process is our Talent Management Consortium, and that's made up of talent acquisition managers from across the system, our training directors, as well as some HR folks, to really look at what do we need to do in order to support the staff. And so we work collaboratively on initiatives. We also looked at what can we leverage. So, for example, when we were building out some performance management programming, we asked each of the campuses, what are you offering today as part of your curriculum? Can we utilize that? And then we used that content to build e-learning courses that mirrored their content. We have to have a change plan. So as I mentioned, we have UC Merced, that's new. We have UC Berkeley, that's very mature. Each one of those locations have a different need. And so when we roll something out, the way they communicate it or implement it at their locations is slightly different. So we have to think about what the impact is from a change perspective, and then how do you communicate that? What we like to do is provide information that the locations can utilize as best fits their needs. So let me talk a little bit about the Learning Center. We have one domain, as I mentioned, one system, as I mentioned, but 12 domains. So what that means is that each one of those campuses that have a domain manages it individually. So if we're making courses available system-wide, each one of those campuses really manages their own curriculum within the learning management system, again, to what best fits their needs. And it's huge. So we have 71,000 active activities. And so this could be instructor-led courses that people are registering for. That includes courses that they can take online as well. We have 18,000 individual e-courses. And that includes everything from compliance to leadership development programs. And then we have 330 active users in the system. So as I mentioned, some of the locations do include their faculty as users. So it's big. And as I mentioned, it gets complex pretty fast. And so the way we make it work, again, is by collaborating and making sure that we're serving the needs from a system-wide perspective individually at each of the campuses. So let me talk a little bit about some of the management development programs that we do offer through the system. And these are based on some competencies that have been established at the university and also on our employee engagement survey results. So the first one here on the bottom right is our People Management Certificate. And this is really for people managers to understand the baseline of management at university. So this is consistent across all of the locations. It fits into their curriculums because we've offered them an opportunity to customize the curriculum by putting in some electives from their own organizations. There are 14 courses in this certificate, 10 of which are core, so everyone needs to complete those if they complete the certificate. And then the university can, the campus can customize by adding electives. The middle one is our management development program. And this is really targeted at middle managers. Those are the ones that really touch the most of our employees at the university. So they're mid-level managers, they complete all of the modules, it's instructor-led, it's got 4 modules, and that's really a focus that we have on our middle managers. And we use the LMS to manage completions and registrations. And the third one is for our senior leaders, and this is a year-long program that senior managers take, and it's in concert with the Coro group around leadership and collaboration. So, as I mentioned, all of these programs are managed through the LMS, and they're built on some competencies. So let me take a look at the competencies. So our core competencies are competencies that apply to every person within the UC system, so every staff member within the UC system. And then we have our people management competencies that further define them for people who find themselves supervising others. Our courses and programs are based upon these. As I said, they're deployed across the university, but in some cases there's a little different flavor depending on a particular campus's needs. They are utilized to our career track system, which will be rolled out across the university in the next year or so. That is a way for people to manage job descriptions and career pathing through the system. And then we use it for talent acquisition. So when we're hiring people, we're able to look at these competencies and use them in hiring decisions. So really, I think the success here of the program is that we got started, and we got started somewhere. And the idea is, if you're going to implement an integrated system like this, is to start where people are at. So every campus had a slightly different need. Some were ready for succession planning when you talk about talent management. Some had very robust talent acquisition systems. Some didn't. So the idea was to start where you're at and get started somewhere. So first, define your purpose, unify processes, collaborate across functions, and that should be the biggest circle on this screen, because we don't do anything at UC system-wide without collaborating. And then also know your people. So for us, it's understanding what the campuses need and how we can best serve their needs.